Now could I go from selling $20 t-shirts to $200,000 houses? Let's see if I can do it.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
I appreciate you for jumping on the Relentless Project. For those of you who don't know, this is RJ Messenger. He's a huge name up in Erie. You had Iron Empire Clothing. You were on Undercover Billionaire, where Underdog Barbecue was started, which, is that back? I kind of saw.
Yeah, my sister just opened up the new location.
I saw that. Yeah, I was kind of doing research, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, there's a whole nice little story with that.
Yeah,
we'll see how much I go into it.
Well, yeah, we'll see how there's a lot to unpack there. We'll see how much I go into it. Now you're doing TED Talks. Just a lot of experience, a lot of entrepreneur experimentation.
Yeah,
that's how I am. I've started more businesses than I can count. Not a lot of them are still here, but it's that process of learning and growth and what it's going to prepare you for the next step.
You're just like me. It's like it's in the what's the word? God damn it!
That happens to me all the time.
Like you like the experience,
the journey,
the journey.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get to the destination, you're like, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah,
I don't care.
next. Yeah,
like I built it. I'm done now. What do I do now? Because then you're bored. Like, what do you do with it now that it's grown or made? It's the journey and the experience of growing and building and that mindset.
It's funny you mentioned that. I had a t-shirt company called Allied America. And I created this logo. It was like tip of the spear. I created this like whole branding thing. I sold like 15 shirts. Nothing crazy. Some dude from Texas wrote me. He was like, I'll pay you X amount for your name, your rights, everything. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, he sent me money. I sent him the paperwork. He never did anything with the paperwork. It's still registered to me.
No
but like
way.
I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I probably can't use it. Yeah, I probably can't use it legally, but I'm like, well, there's that. Next, like, and it's like gardening, right? Like you garden, you water your plants, you're out there, that process, and then you get the finished product, and then it's like, boop,
start ready to do it again. Yeah.
That's how I view creating businesses and helping people create businesses, and that's why I used to do a lot of marketing and branding, and I wouldn't even charge sometimes because it was like the experience for me of like watching this company grow and build. And I think we share that a lot except you've built huge companies, like bigger companies, very, very known companies. And then it's like, oh, pivot, going to do this. That's dope. So what was your inspiration to start Iron Empire Clothing? Like how did that come about? Because there's starting a t-shirt company and there's starting a brand and a movement, which you were able to do.
Right. So long story short, which will still be a long story. At the time I was working for the city full time. So I was a full-time employee for the city of Erie for, I think part-time and full-time, like 7 years, close to 6 or 7 years. And, I had a good job, full-time. I had my CDL. So I was, working 9 to 5 or whatever the shifts were. Pension, benefits, health insurance, making $23 an hour. Overtime in the winter, I was plowing, so I was doing streets. Union, I was a Teamster. So I had
strong union.
Yeah. So like at the time I thought I'm living the American dream, man. Like I got the dream job. Like I can support a family off this and retire when I'm 55 because I was young. I was one of the youngest employees at the time that got full time. I put in my time that I had to do. And not only that, but I looked at it as because of my past before Iron Empire was very sketchy and troubled. I'm a convicted felon in 2 countries. I don't look this way for no reason. I used to live that lifestyle.
Is El Salvador one of them?
No, that is not on my resume, unfortunately. And so I had everything going against me, and I was like, I'm so damn lucky to have this job with the city, right? So again, like to me, I'm like, I'm living an American dream that most people in my shoes probably wouldn't have that opportunity. And after doing it for a while, at the time I'd recently married, bought a house with my wife at the time, and I said, I'm like, I feel like I'm too young to already settle down. I was only 25 years old, 26 years old, whatever it was.
Oh wow, yeah, that's impressive.
And I said, I want to start a hobby. Like I need something for me to put my time and energy to. And I was familiar with screen printing and t-shirts because I grew up playing in bands, and I was always in charge of our merch when we would go on tour or go play shows. So I'd have someone do the designs for us. I'd understand the profit margins of what I'm paying to get them screen printed, what we turn around and charge them at shows. And I saw how quick, like, man, if I put some like provocative or sayings on my band shirts, like people eat that shit up. I'm gonna make some money off that. And so I wasn't doing any bands anymore. And I said, I'm going to take what I learned and I'm going to do my own thing. Right. And I came up with a name, had the logo created, and I took $300. I started the business with $300 cash that I was making from the city. And I built a little cheap website, learned how to do that on my own. Again, I didn't go to college, so I didn't have like business background. I never had experience with really any of that. And I got as many shirts as I could of our first design with $300. Like how many ever I could make, that's what we did. Put it online and sold out in a week and a half. Took that $300, that made me $700. Took that $700, ordered $700 worth of shirts, sold that online or in person or whatever. And it's funny because I had already built a network around who I was before Iron Empire because of whether it was like the movies or just the way I looked in the area, and I was well known because of the way I looked.
You stick out a little
bit, right?
It must be the tan.
Yeah, the beard. It's not common to have a beard, I guess. That's what it was. And so we actually had people coming, like people I didn't know online, like said, hey man, like can I get an Iron Empire shirt? Fucking awesome. I love your stuff. Can I save my shipping and come to your house? So I'm literally scheduling appointments with people to come to my house.
Bro, I was doing that's crazy.
Yeah. And like I said, we had just moved into this new house and a decent, quiet family neighborhood. And the one guy across the street, after the first couple of weeks of us moving in, started questioning. And he had said something to my ex-wife at the time. Finally met her. He didn't meet us like in person. We didn't have an introduction. And he finally met her. And he had to ask. He's like, was the nosy, amazing guy, but he was the nosy neighbor. He knew what everyone was doing at all times on the block. Like, I want to have that neighbor across the street from me. But you see me move into a house and people coming in and out all day long, right? And see what I look like. He straight up told me, he's like, I thought you guys were selling drugs. He's like, I thought you were selling drugs.
Oh, I thought he was going to ask if you were selling plates on the side. No. He thought you were selling drugs.
Yeah. So we had a good laugh about that. So anyways, and that's where it all started. And that was in April. I want to say April of 2015. And by December of that year, we had the opportunity to take over a skateboard shop that was connected to a tattoo shop that just wasn't getting the foot traffic they wanted. It was nice and built out. And he said, hey, you guys can put your stuff in here. So we put some of our stuff in there, kept selling the skateboard shit, and then realized like 99% of the people walking in the door to buy stuff was for Iron Empire. So he's like, listen, $450 a month, it's yours, the whole store. I'm like, we'll take it. And that was in December we opened of that same year. And by April of 2016, so a couple months later, is when I pulled from the city. I quit. I had to retire because I was full-time. I retired early is what I say. So I pulled my pension, whatever I had in, and I gave that up to take on Iron Empire full-time.
Bro, how, like you have what everyone, talks about, that stability, right? That city job, that essentially government job, pension, stability, safety net, all the buzzwords.
Terrifying.
Like what made you go, this is no longer going to be a hobby, I'm like all in? Like what was that deciding factor? Because a lot of us, we teeter on that all the time of like, do I start a business? All these motivational speakers, social media, do work for yourself, to build your own dream. But it's hard to take that leap. Like, what was that for you to take that leap?
It's at the end of the day, for everyone, it's the fear of the unknown. You can have all the confidence in the world. You can know black and white on paper, okay, this is my business plan, this is what I'm going to do, but you don't know what's actually going to happen. So it's like, is it worth to throw this away to see if this works? And for me, I don't want to say it was easy, but once I had the thought in my mind, it was like everything was convincing me to go that way. But what got me there was my mentor at the time. She had said, and I asked her, I said, listen, I actually went when we opened up the store, I was working first shift, cozy job for the streets department, going out doing whatever, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I went back. No one ever bids out of streets to bid to the third shift garbage department. Like, because I started in refuse. I started as a garbage man for the first 3 years. And in Erie, it's third shift. You work at night, Sunday night through Thursday night. Rain, snow, it doesn't matter. You're out there. I had my CDL after the first 2 years, so fortunately I was able to drive. But I said, I have to go back to third shift because I need my time during the day to run the store and do Iron Empire stuff. So I went back to working third shift for those couple months of when we opened the store. And I just felt like I was a candle burning at both ends, I told her. And she said, you need to decide, like, we'll use that analogy. You have a candle, it's burning at both ends. One is Iron Empire, one's your career, your stability, everything else. And you're burning. One of them is going to burn out before the other. So before that happens, you need to make the decision which one it's going to be and do it yourself. Because something's going to happen, you're not going to have the choice. You're gonna
be forced. Yeah, it's going to be
forced. And I said, all right, Iron Empire is growing into what I think that it could be, but I have the stability and everything over here. And do I keep this and possibly lose out an opportunity for this to go from here to here and always keep it here? Or do I say, you know what, I'm going to remove this and let this do what it wants to do? And that's what did it for me.
You guys grew so quick. I remember
it was very fast.
It was cool seeing it from the outside. Like you're so close.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm looking at it and your Instagram had like 500 something followers.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, damn.
A little something.
I was like, damn, okay. Like they just launched this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's got a big following. Like that's cool. And then you're talking about a store and then you moved to the train station.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was quick too.
The next thing you know, it's like Grove City. I'm like, holy crap! Like this is moving fast. What did you learn from running that? Because you were pretty hands on. Like I don't think you were ever one of those people who kind of like it took off and you like backed up. You actually dove in. Like at one point, you were like bringing kids in to print their own shirts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like you did a lot of things. What are some of the lessons you learned in that process of building Iron Empire?
I can go on for days about that. For me, it was always, how could I give back, right? I'm a local clothing line, turned screen printing company. We end up growing, and that's what actually grew us from, these numbers to these numbers very fast is when we started offering custom screen printing. And we can talk about that if you want a little bit later, but, I had support around the country. We had an online store I was selling, but it was with a local store, you have to feed to the you have to feed and give back to your, if you want that store to be busy, I can't just rely on online orders. So how do I get local people to want to continue supporting me? And it was always, okay, every dollar I make, I'm going to try and give back $2. Right. And one of my favorite quotes, and I would say I got it from someone, but it was actually something like I just came up with the top of my head in one interview. And I said, I'm not in the business of making money or selling t-shirts. I'm in the business of changing lives. So if I can use my platform, however it is, with my business to try and change other people's lives, whether it was, I don't want to say financially, like I'm giving out thousands of dollars to families and stuff like that, but volunteering, donating, whatever it is, if I could do that, it will always come back tenfold. And you don't want to use that as a reason, like, oh, I'm doing this because I want my business to be successful. But if it was done under the right circumstances and the right mindset of like, I actually want to do this.
The right intentions.
Exactly. It would always come back. Always.
I've talked about that many times. I truly believe if you have the right intention for someone or for something, it's going to come back. Like the universe, not a lot of people believe in God. People believe in other higher powers. But however we want to word it, the universe is built on law.
Yep.
Right? Like everything works for a reason. If you put good out, good is going to come back.
Absolutely.
And that's not doing good, that's being good.
Yeah.
Right? Because I could go do good things and have the worst intentions for people.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not what I'm talking. What I'm talking about is if you truly do things for the right, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
It's like, it's law. It's written in nature.
Right.
So that's huge. And you see a lot of the successful companies are, especially ones small that start off and take off quickly. It's people. It's run by good people. You look scary, but it's a but I mean,
I still am. I could be, and
we're gonna hit on that a
lifestyle,
lot.
but
so we were talking earlier, and he caught a lot of heat because of his tattoos, and he
recently,
looks scary and mean. So I'm fucking gonna run on that. That's gonna be
we are.
bread and butter.
Yes, sir.
But we'll talk about perception. Like, what was the perception of people? Because you had a lot of like athletes and you know, people showing off that stuff.
Right.
Did you ever get any blowback when people came into the store and they saw you in there? Or did people really know you were a part of that the whole time?
Honestly, I think locally it was welcomed and accepted. I think because I started off on the right foot, where when we started it, you know, I had a couple shirts out there, and we had a shirt with like just our logo on it. Another shirt, like a tattoo style, is like a skull with a crown, and I had a saying on the back, and it said like "Born a slave, die a king." So it's kind of like edgy, like that grudgy style. I'm like, oh, it sold all right. And then one day at work, I wrote the big saying, and this is what blew us up. The Live Different saying, where it's, you know, we all come into this world with nothing, and we all leave this world with nothing. But what you possess between those two defining moments are basically what builds your life, what makes your life, and live different. And I came up with that. I wrote that at work one day because, you know, I worked for the city and I was working all day long and had the time to do that. And I put that on the back of a shirt, and it finally gave our brand an identity. Like, okay, this is it. Like, that's that motivational shit that people want to see. And if I can put that stuff on t-shirts, and again, I went into it knowing like, oh, I can put some wild provocative saying about my metal band on a shirt, and people are, yeah, like, kill people. Like, I want to wear that. I want a shirt that says, you know, kill everyone or destroy everyone. So if I do it in a positive way, can I get the same effect? And it happened. And so then we put out a video, and it was very inspiring. You know, had like a voiceover with
I think I remember this.
With the baseball player and the skateboarder and stuff like that. It was very inspiring. And that's what blew us up. So again, because I started the business off on that foot, anytime someone saw Iron Empire, it was something positive or meaningful, and then they tied that to me, which, because of the way I look, was very easy to do. And I think from there was the more stuff I did and made sure I was out there in the community and giving back and trying to do as much good as possible, and that's what caught on very quick. And to be honest, 100% honest, I used the way I look to my advantage, because it's like, any way you can differentiate from anyone else and break that norm and break that stereotype, it just brings more attention to you. So even if I got negative attention right off the bat, where it's like, this fucking guy with face tattoos, he owns a clothing line, and then they hear me talk or see what I'm doing, that's hard to forget than just some random Joe Schmo who owns a clothing line that they could see walking down the street and they might not ever recognize again. So I 100% use that to my advantage in a selfish way.
No, it's so true. Like, I'll be at the gym and I'll see people like staring at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you know, whatever. And then, you know, one dude will come up to me. He's like, you know, he asked something. He's like, how do you, you know, and I'll sit there and talk, you know, I'll be like, oh, this is da 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 da. And he's like, oh, dude, I'm going to be honest. I was worried. Yeah, I was hesitant on coming up to you. And I'm like, oh, why? He's like, because you walk around and you're like, you're throwing weight around. You look
fucking dude.
And I'm like, nah, I'm actually like the nicest dude.
Yeah.
You know, cool. I love helping people and whatever. So if you ever, come up to me, find me on social media, we'll chat it up. He's like, dude, that's so refreshing. I feel it's the same way with you. Like, people like want to approach you,
right?
But then when they do and they see that encounter and feel that encounter, like, oh, dude, it almost like amplifies how they talk about you. Like, oh, dude, he's the coolest dude. Like, because they
wouldn't say that and feel that way if it was just a normal person.
Yeah.
And nothing against normal people or average people, but you're not going to meet some normal guy at the gym who might not look the way you do and be like, oh yeah, I met this really nice guy at the gym. The conversation is going to stick because they'll be like, this jack dude with a beard and he looks super scary and this and that, and he's actually the nicest guy ever.
And gave me advice. Like,
Exactly.
What do you remember, or can you think of like a pivotal moment in Iron Empire where you reached a wall or like something, like a challenge that you were like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And you were able to pass through that. Do you remember anything like that?
I mean, there's always like, I felt like I faced more challenges than I did successes, right? If I worded that the right way. I don't think I did, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, you encountered more opposition than you did. You feel that you did. I'll say feel that you did because it took off.
Right. Exactly.
Wins. More opposition than wins.
Correct. Yep, that's a way to put it. So, and I mean, I can say anything from the beginning to the end, you know, when I actually closed up my store and decided to do that, or even before that, go back, you know, a year before that, where I decided to close up my screen printing and have to let go 8 employees and drop down to only 3 to run just a retail store. You know, that was probably the hardest part of my business, where I decided, hey, this isn't what I want it to be anymore. I'm ready to start downsizing before I throw in the towel. I don't want to just throw in the towel now. Going to try and keep it going for as long as I can. And then when the time's right, the time will be right. But COVID was difficult. I think that was a turning point for us. On the face of the business, it grew us significantly. So during COVID, I ran a program, or whatever you'd want to call it. I called it local supporting locals. And what it was is I created a way for us to have online little mini websites for local businesses to sell a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a little bag with their logo in it, right? Or we can be creative with whatever they want to put on it. I went to every business in Erie, nonprofit, whatever, and said, hey, listen, for free, I want to help you. I want to help you. You help me. Because almost restaurants were closed. Nonprofits couldn't have their events, you know, during COVID and the pandemic. And because we were a production facility, like, we were still kind of able to run in the background. We just couldn't be open to the public, face to face.
Which we can say now.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yep.
So I went and I put this whole thing out there. I said, hey, if you're a local business, I can make you a couple $100 or a couple grand, but it depends on you and your following. I'll build this little mini website with a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a bag with your logo on it. I'll do it all for free. You don't got to pay me anything for it. And we're going to cut you a check for every shirt you sell. It's going to cost us this much, where we make our profit. So let's say our cost is $10. You want to sell a shirt for $15? Every shirt you sell for 2 weeks, I'm going to cut you a check for that, $5 for every shirt. Hoodies cost us $25. You want to sell for $40? You'll make $15 on every hoodie you sell. But you got to promote it to your people and tell me, hey, there's a chance for us to make money and help us get through the pandemic, right? So we made our profit off of it, but we gave every restaurant, nonprofit, business, sports team, whatever it was, opportunities to basically use us as a fundraiser platform.
Yeah,
right?
That's interesting.
And over the pandemic, I want to say within a year, personally wrote checks of, I think we broke $50,000 back to local businesses, whoever it was. And it's not because we gave out of our pockets. Oh yeah, but we made our money and we gave them an opportunity. So they helped us get through it. And by doing that, you think, let's say we did 35 of these little mini stores, right? All 35 of those mini stores sold to 25 of their customers. Do the math, and that's how much new eyes were on us and saw, like, damn, Iron Empire is really doing something during the pandemic. So that year, going from the pandemic happening and next year, we went from grossing between screen printing and retail, I think on paper, you know, tax-wise, I think we were grossing $520 a year. And the next year after this kind of happened, we grossed $1.2 million.
Like I said, tax-wise.
Yeah,
we all know
on
that
paper.
means. Yeah.
On paper.
No,
so we literally went from like 520 to 1.2 million because of that happening. Now that's where the problems come in. So we grew that much, literally doubled our business, and I had the same amount of employees. Think about the overtime, the volume that we had to do.
Same facility.
Yep.
Same production output.
Yep. And me not having a business background, business experience, none of that stuff. I'm like, oh, I can run this like $500,000-$600,000 business, but how do I run a business that's making $1.2 million a year? And start putting ourselves in debt. And I'll be honest, 100% honest. The bottom line, the bottom dollar, like net, going from that like 520 to 1.2, I think I put like an extra 30 grand in our pocket. Like it was pointless. for us on a successful wise.
on a business level. Yeah,
Like that was bad for us. Out there, we did good and we gave back to the community, and that just put us in a hole. And from there, I feel like it was just playing catch up then.
it's funny how I go back to this perception thing. People outside are like, "Oh, dude, he's killing it. He must be rich." Like,
right.
I was at real story. I was at home. I have not made $1 from this podcast. 2 people have donated to it. I have not made $1, which we do take donations. Check our website. But Mo, it's hard out here. I just traveled 2 hours to come sit with you.
Man.
No, but I was at Home Depot, and some kid comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, are you Ish Lopez?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?
Why?
Do I know?" I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, I listen to your podcast, dude. Super excited to talk to me." I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for approaching me. Like, we had a little back and forth real quick." And then I leave, and this kid's like ecstatic, and I'm like, I wonder if he thinks I'm like I'm just an average dude. Yeah, I'm just an average dude who sits in front of a mic. Like, but it was cool to like feel that, and I'm like, damn.
That's more rewarding than any amount of money
can't pay for that.
Exactly.
But it's for that perception, right? People see you on social media. People see your business. They see your clothes everywhere. That's one thing I saw your shirts and hoodies everywhere. Pittsburgh, everywhere. You're like, oh, this dude's killing the game. And then you're sitting here and you're like, and behind the scenes, we're like working overtime. We're struggling. I'm trying to play catch up, which is, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
My payroll that year, for that year that we grew that much, alone was like $350,000 payroll. Yeah.
Which is cool because like you're
helping
people,
families, I'm helping my
and
employees and stuff, but the business it drained us. It was crazy.
And I was gonna say, like, you said I wasn't donating. That's empowering. Yeah. It goes to show. It takes me to like when people are asking for handouts versus when people are like, give me an opportunity and I'll show you.
Yeah.
You're creating opportunities for people.
Yeah.
They're doing the work and you both are benefiting.
Yeah.
That's better than, there's a time and place for just donations, but I feel like that's better off for people. If you create an opportunity for someone, you provide that avenue and they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
It's
a win-win.
It's huge. Yeah. It's a win-win. Yep. Unfortunately, you guys were playing catch up after that, and you said you didn't have that business background, but you've built it.
Yeah.
Opening these companies. So that's cool. Speaking of business, let's get into that undercover billionaire.
Okay. Yeah. That's a fun topic.
How did that even come about?
So I don't want to say behind the scenes stories. So obviously they knew from day one what it was, the reason for the filming, that it would be a TV show. They actually knew it was going to be Discovery Channel, which again, we had no idea. But they reached out to me a year before filming through email and said, hey, we're a documentary crew. And I still have like the original email with like this like fake flyer that they made. We're filming a documentary. It's going to be titled The American Dream. And it's about this guy, Glenn Bryant, who grew up his whole life working a 9-to-5 banking job, and recently was diagnosed with cancer. And now that he's like kind of like beating it, he's like, I want to actually do something with my life, right? So we're thinking about filming in Erie, and we're wondering if you would give him an opportunity to help him out, like give him a job while he's there. And that's what it was. I'm like, sure, yeah, like let me know, like I'd be down to help this guy. The entrepreneur side of me, like if I can help someone, great. And they end up coming in and interviewing us, like the producer, director, and like a couple crew. It's very small, like 4 or 5 people traveled. And we were pitched the story of, oh yeah, we're traveling around the country, like scattered cities where we want to film. And, they interviewed me, asked me about the business, got to meet me in person. And I never heard from them. I'm like, oh shit, like maybe they didn't pick Erie. Like that sucks, but whatever. I would not miss much, I guess. And then I hear back from them. They said, it's back on, and we are coming to Erie. We're gonna be coming around March, maybe, blah, blah, around this time of the year, St. Patrick's Day. And when we get there, we'd love for you to be able to meet Glenn and possibly help him out while he's here, right? So I said, all right, like if the time's right and I need help, like I'll hire him. I'll give him a job, okay? And that was it. Again, like didn't hear from him, didn't know what was going on. And then, well, obviously what you saw on the show happened, right? Like had, was trying to get some help at the store, maybe a little bit of movie magic. He calls me, yeah, like, what's up? Come on in. Let's do this. And yeah, they showed up at my store with him, and kind of the rest was history. 100% legit the whole time. Like, we didn't know it was for a TV show. There was, when I talk production crew, because when they say we're a documentary crew and they're like, it might be on Netflix or something like that, I'm thinking like little handheld cameras, stuff like that. But when they had like 17 vehicles pull up to my store and crew of 25 people again, I'm like, something seems off here.
Quite the documentary.
Something seems off here.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to go with it because I don't know. And I'm not going to be like, wait a second, I'm not doing anything until I know. Like, I'll just go with the flow. Like, I'm going to help this dude who I didn't know was a billionaire, and I didn't know anything about him legitimately, and see what happens. And yeah, I if you watch the show, you can see that, I kind of struggled in the first part of it, but it's because, and I would say no offense to anyone else on the show, but like, I don't really care to like step on toes just because of what happened since then and whatever. But I was the only one who actually owned a business that was running, which other ones did, but was also asked to not required, but expected to put in way more work, right? Like some other people who own businesses and had like, hey, I got to be at my business every day, didn't really put in nearly the amount of work that Glenn was trying to get out of me. And so I'm like, man, like I can't keep giving all this to you while I'm still trying to run my business. And then I finally got to the point, and you don't see this on the show, he kind of calls me out and says, hey man, I need to know like whether you're on board or not. Like, I'm getting wishy-washy texts back from you, blah, blah, blah. And he actually pitched the underdog concept to me during this, when we were filming this, like kind of call out, and it never made the show. And he's like, I want to call this barbecue business, I want to call it Underdog, and I want to base it on Underdog. And, Erie's an underdog town, everything I've learned, all of you guys, everyone that I've met in the show so far that ends up being on it, you're all underdogs. And he's like, I could see you being the face of this company. He's like, I need to know whether you're in or not. And I'm like, all right, man, like I'm in 100%. Like from here on out, I'm in. And that's in the show. You didn't see it, but there was a turning point where you saw where he was questioning me and whether I could come through or not. And then it's like, I rose to the top, I think it was the words he used or whatever. And from there, it was just gung-ho to the finish line to help whatever was going on.
Back to that, you create an opportunity for someone.
Yeah.
You could have easily self-imploded or like not, but you rose to that occasion. I think we have a responsibility. I say we as if I'm an entrepreneur, like, but business owners, entrepreneurs, like you have a responsibility to provide opportunities for people. In my opinion, the whole beauty of having a business is to bring up as many people as you can.
Yeah.
If you have the right intentions, you're going to make money.
Right.
You're going to make money. Money's going to be made. There's so much money in this world to go around.
Yep.
It's inevitable.
Yep.
Once you start cutting corners, taking shortcuts, trying to get ahead, that's when things start getting weary. But, he was able to provide that opportunity. And like you said, you didn't know what was really going on, but you kind of just trusted the process. What did you learn? Did that like ignite your entrepreneur spirit again?
Yeah, it did.
Because you're starting something from the ground up again.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, during the film of that show, Iron Empire, we were struggling. I didn't know where the next direction was for us. We were going through kind of one of those where it's like, damn, like, what do I do? At that time, I was going through the separation and divorce with my wife at the time, who was, after we decided to separate, and not to obviously get into too much of the details, but during that time, like, we separated, but we continued to be business partners, and we continued to work together. And actually, we became really good business partners and ran the business really well together. And obviously, there was those moments of like the personal, like, okay, this kind of sucks, but we worked really well together. And she made a decision to walk away, and I took it all over. And it was like within a few months, this happens, and I'm like trying to navigate like these waters that I've never been in. Like now, I'm running the entire business by myself. I'm trying to help this guy. I'm kind of struggling. I don't know what the next direction is for Iron Empire. And, holy shit, I just hit a brick wall.
Hey, it happens. So lighting your entrepreneur spirit,
Yes,
you're struggling with Iron Empire.
Yep.
You're getting hit in all angles,
Right.
personal
That's where I was
life. And then now you get presented this opportunity to not just double down on this, but like, we're going to go a whole new direction.
And I actually spoke on this too. I told Glenn, I said, and this was again, not knowing who it was during filming, I said, like, you're motivating me again. And even though it was all, I don't want to say a facade and a lie or fake, but like in my mind at that time, this random 50-some-year-old guy comes to my city. He just beat cancer, no business experience. And he's putting his trust in us and really me to help him achieve his goals. And I'm like, if this dude can do this at 50, why am I right now like having a pity party for myself? Like, oh, I'm struggling. I don't know if I can do this by myself, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So he was like motivating me, like, what the fuck? Like, what am I, dude? I'm like 30 years old. And why am I throwing a pity party? And this guy's going to a city he's never been in before. And look at him crushing it because he's surrounding himself with the right people. And it really motivated me and put me in a different mindset for the rest of the filming of that. And then, after the show was done, I actually had a moment where I told Glenn, I said, hey, listen, like after learning who he was, after, if you watch the show, he presented me with like the check that I earned. He said I didn't want to take it. I was actually the only person on the show that I refused to take the check from him. He gave, I think, 20 grand to one person, 25 grand to another, gave me a check for 25 grand. I'm like, I'm not taking that. Like, that's not why I did this. And
yeah,
like,
that wasn't the purpose of, but I guess it was.
Yeah. And they honestly, they had to convince me, like, listen, I'm not giving this to you. It's not a gift. You earned this for the last 90 days of what you did for me. I'm like, all right, I get that. And I told him, I said, I don't know like what the future of Iron Empire is, but I do know that what we just did is fucking amazing. And if that means that maybe it's time for me to close this door and just do Underdog, and let's see where we can take this, I'm willing to consider that. You know what he did? I'm saying, no, like, I believe in what you did. I don't want you to throw it away. I think you can do both. And he actually partnered with me on Iron Empire.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't even know that.
So he partnered with me on Iron Empire in 2019. So we actually created pretty much behind the scenes a whole new entity to do business as Iron Empire. He invested in. I took what I did, and he said, what you learned from the show, now you know who I am, and you know the success I've had. I'm going to give you the building blocks to grow this from a $200,000 company to a $500,000 to a 1.2 million, right? And that required me to step back and say, all right, like, I can't do everything myself. I can't be the graphic artist. I can't be the salesperson at the front desk. I can't be the screen printing salesperson. I can't be the owner of the business. I can't be the face that goes out and does all these events. So he's like, all right, I'm going to fund the business X amount, and we're opening up a new store. You're going to hire a graphic designer, a salesperson, a retail salesperson, a screen printer, and an accountant, in-house accountant. You need all that to be able to grow. And I was terrified. I'm like,
all these new expenses, all these new, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's like it's like a good thing, but it's a scary good thing.
Absolutely.
It's that unknown. You're asking me to be uncomfortable. One, release control.
Yeah.
Because I have control of the graphics. That you're asking me to let go of that and trust it on the people who I have to pay for.
Yep. It was terrifying because I am one micromanaging mother effer. Like, and especially when I first had everyone, we opened a new store and I had all these new employees, I'm like, okay, I'm literally going to be here all day. And I just want to know what everyone's doing. I want to make sure everyone's doing their jobs the right way.
Constant check-ins.
And I learned, I will tell you what, man, my business wouldn't have grown into what it was if I didn't trust that process and allow and give people the trust, not the trust, the ability to do what they did for me. And one of the biggest business lessons I learned was surround yourself with people who can do things better than you. Right? I'm a graphic designer at heart. I can do it. I can sit down on Photoshop. But what if I hire someone that can do graphic design better than me, which means I can output that much more stuff and better quality and more because I can't do it all because I'm doing this, and this, right? And watch the business grow. And when you do that here, and here, it's like, oh my God, like I can take a step back and actually run the business and focus on what I'm good at. And everyone I surrounded myself with, and it was, hit or miss, I had to get rid of people, hire someone new. But like once I found that freaking group, that core, it was like we were unstoppable. We were freaking unstoppable. And I'm like, man, like I don't want to be the smartest person in my room. Like I want everyone else to be the best at what they do and do it better than me and show me what I'm doing wrong.
If you are the smartest person in your room, you need a new room.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
I try to surround myself, and it's all about network, right?
Yeah.
If I try to surround myself, and here's the problem with people like who have this mentality, this mindset of I want to be surrounded by better people.
Yeah.
You are the better person to someone else
Yep.
because of the value you bring to their life.
Right.
So you're in this room pouring into people who are pouring into you. It's this catalyst of growth.
Feeding off each other.
Yeah, feeding off each other. That's why network is so important. I had a conversation with Tom Dowd with Performance Inspired. Mm-hmm. He's partnered with Mark Wahlberg in that supplement
I've heard
company.
of that.
And his whole thing is relationships and network.
Dude, that's it.
And he's like, I will, if I believe in something or in people, I'll invest in it. Sure, I'm going to make money, but it's all about the network I'm building.
At the end of the day, I mean, years ago, you would always maybe challenge us. And I don't say this in a bad way either. It really is about who you know and not what you know. At the end of the day, it really is. Because if you surround yourself, and I saw, you see like the cheesy motivational quotes or entrepreneurship quotes and this and that.
I'm all about that.
But a lot of them are so true though. And it's like just regurgitated, but in different ways. But yes, like if I surround myself with 5 people who work part-time jobs, I'm never going to succeed. But if I put myself and I only hang out with billionaires, and those are people I hang out with every day, I can almost guarantee I might not be a billionaire.
You'll be,
but
a
I'm
millionaire.
going to be close. I'm going to be close. And you know why? Because if I'm creating relationships with those people, not only learning from them, but you know how many people in their network that I'm going to meet that are going to raise me and give me opportunities that I probably would have never had if I didn't show up in that room to be there.
It's what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say cumulative, compounding. It's compounding.
Yep.
You meet 5 dudes who are driven.
Yeah.
You know, they're pouring into you. They're all about growth. They have 5 people. Mm-hmm. And then those people have 5 people.
It's like a snowball effect.
It's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
And so back to what you were doing, you're creating this network. You've created this network, and then you're trusting the process, and you're letting go of this control. Mm-hmm. But it's also making you more efficient in the process. Yep. It's allowing you, because your thing is leading, being a leader, which isn't being a boss. Being a boss and being a leader are 2 things. Being a leader. And creating this environment for other people to flourish.
Yep.
And you're the relationship person, the network builder. So you have to step back and trust people to do these things so that you can kind of bring everything together.
And I can flourish. I can do what I'm made for and I love to do. You know, I didn't love doing graphic design. I didn't love sitting and doing quotes and invoicing for screen printing orders and dealing with the customers. I knew how to do it and I was good at it, but I didn't love it. So I was able to step back and start doing what I loved again. Yeah.
And I mean, I think anyone who knows you saw the effects of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm 2 hours away and I can see the effects of it. And we talk, once a year?
Yeah, something like that.
And it's like, nothing missed. It's like walking to your store. Hey, what's up? What's up? We talk, boom.
Yeah.
But people can see the effects of trusting that process and the building.
Right.
So Underdog Barbecue, it was hot and eerie, and then I was kind of doing some research, and I wanted to see like what was, because I'm not here a lot anymore, so I miss a lot of things, and I just saw, out of privacy for them, I'm sure people can Google it, but a family member ended up reopening it and brought in every one of the staff back.
Yep,
that's awesome. What's next for the store?
The story behind that is. So there was another season that Glenn filmed here in Erie. It was called Comeback City, where he came back, everyone knew who he was, and he went to, I think, 6 or 7 local businesses, and then Underdog again, and helped these businesses each episode. One episode was for this coffee shop. One episode was for this karate or taekwondo academy. And he'd go in, as Glenn Stearns, the billionaire, say, I want to help you better your business. Like, let me know where I can help out with. And helped all these businesses. And one episode was, well, let's get an update on Underdog. We just made it through the pandemic, but they're reopened, and they were struggling. And there's a whole episode on it. And if you remember from season 1, my sister kind of shined at the end and was given a kitchen job to run the kitchen, that side of things.
tough as hell.
Yep,
I used to work in the food industry.
And during this episode, the manager at the time was let go because of XYZ, which we won't get into. If you watch the episode, you'll kind of learn a little bit about it. He looked at my sister and says, "You want to talk about pressure?" Looks at my sister and says, "All right, you know, the evaluation dropped from 750,000 down to, it was like 350. Now, granted, they went through a pandemic and they were closed, so
season.
It was rough. But he said, if we can't get it back up to at least 750, I'm going to sell the business. And my sister's like, so you're promoting me, but also putting the pressure on me to grow the business, and if not, we all lose our jobs, right? And if you remember from season 1, when he originally interviewed her and decided not to use her, she said like, I don't know if I can really handle the pressure, but she could. She had her own little mini restaurant at the time and was doing her thing, and she proved herself at the end of season 1 with Ribfest that damn, like you could kind of rise to the occasion and prove yourself.
Which I was there for, and I didn't make the cut.
Because you were scary, man. You were too scary.
I'm sitting there, I see cameras. I'm like, what is going on? I just want to buy a T-shirt,
oh,
bro.
Man. So she does all this stuff. She does all this stuff during this filming. And I think it was over like a 30-day span he gave her. Literally 30 days to change the business around. Yeah.
To go over 100 whatever percent.
Yep. It was very short. Maybe it wasn't 30, but it was a very short period of time. And she does this, she does that, she redoes the menu, the numbers, and just she flourishes, shows what she's made of. And Glenn comes in, and this is what you see at the end of the episode. And he's like, "Hey, congratulations! Like, we made it. You brought it back up." She's like, "Oh, awesome. And he's looking at her, and she's like, "You're still gonna sell it, aren't you?" Like, she had that pit gut, like that feeling in her gut, like, "You're still gonna sell it, aren't you?" He goes, "I am." And she just starts bawling. National TV, she's fucking bawling, right? She's worked her ass off. And while they were filming this, I'm sitting outside, right? Not knowing what's going on, like waiting for them to be done. And he says, "Let me finish." He's like, "I want to sell it to you." Right? And honestly, I get emotional because, like, talk about full circle. Like, if in the beginning I could have fully said, no, like, I don't want to help this dude, and my family, we would never have any of this, right? And I'm not saying it's because of me and I'm responsible for it, but like, you talk about coming around full circle. Yeah. So not only that, so then she starts crying. She's like, I have no money. She's like, I barely make any money. I can't buy it. Well, if you remember, he started the show with $100. Remember, they were like, we're gonna give you $100 to go start. He's like, I want to sell it to you for what I started it with, $100. And legitimately, I can attest to this. Legitimately, on paper, she actually gave him a check and bought the business for $100, and he gave it to her.
Bro, what?
Yeah. Yep. So she continued to work out of that restaurant, tried to buy the building, tried to, do this, do that, blah, 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 and ran into a few hiccups, some unfortunate circumstances that were out of her control happened, and kind of forced her to say, hey, you got to look at another location. And that's when she made the purchase on the old Perkins, just down the road, and bought that, and they were closed for a year to do renovations and everything. And that's why everyone was like, damn, what happened to Underdog? They're not open. They're not at that location anymore. Another barbecue restaurant went in there, and that's what I'm not going to go into and not throw them. But and she just opened up probably within the last year or so, something like that, a little bit ago. Open up the new location. They're working on getting their liquor license right now. Get ready for the
that's
summer.
Gonna be huge.
So they're gonna have a full bar in there, which they did at their old location. But again, that was all rented. Like the liquor license was rented through the lease of the building.
It's funny how liquor licenses work.
Dude, I only know a little bit about it, but it's crazy.
I was supposed to. I won't say the name of the company. I'll tell you after. But they kind of screwed me over on a deal. They were up for sale with the liquor license. And the price was like, I'm like, that's the price of a liquor license alone. Dude, we start talking negotiations, and they fucking hosed me.
Did they?
They hosed me, and I'm like, fits your name, fuckers.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Dude.
I can't wait to hear.
Well, yeah. Oh, on another. We'll keep going.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with Underdog now. So I have nothing to do with Underdog anymore. I had, quote unquote, some ownership of an outside entity, because there was the restaurant, which my sister owned. There was Sauces, Rubs, and Apparel, which is a separate entity of Underdog. And then that was affiliated with Iron Empire, and I helped kind of navigate all that. And, you know, whatever happened behind the scenes, you know, I decided it's time for me to walk. I'm not a restaurant guy. This is all my sister. I want my sister to have it. She worked deal at Glen, so she just took ownership pretty much over everything.
That's dope. If you're in Erie, check out Underdog Barbecue.
Yeah.
I had your stuff at the Rib Fest, and it was barbecue. And here's the thing: people knock on barbecue in this area.
It's hard.
Like Pittsburgh here.
Yeah.
Like, hey, no real barbecue. It was good. I mean, I'm not a barbecue person.
Me neither. That's the thing. It's hard. Barbecue, because unless you really want barbecue, it's like, and I'm not a big barbecue fan, so like I can eat ribs from 3 different places and be like, oh, it was all right. Right?
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But I can probably eat ribs from the same place for 7 days straight, and I'm guarantee you that it's not going to taste the same all 7 days because, you know, the smoker and there's just so many variants. Yeah,
so
exactly.
many variables involved.
And to be honest, it took her a while to get the quality to be like, hey, it's consistent now. You know, there was days I went in and I ordered food. I'm like, if this is my first time here, and I don't know if I'd come back because it didn't taste good. But I also understand in the restaurant industry, sometimes there's going to be those off days where if I order the same thing every time, it might not taste the same every time I come, and I can't just write a business off because it didn't taste good that one day.
I've been to big restaurants where I love it, and then one day I'm just like, what was this?
Yeah.
Disappointed, you know?
Yep.
But I also have been the person where I show up, and then today's just not the day I show up.
Yeah.
Like if I got written off for that would suck, you know?
Yep.
So I try not to do that to people and companies and stuff. And
I hate when people do, especially they use social media. You know, they go to a restaurant and have a bad experience. Like sometimes, like, you know what? Like I get it. Like you want to vent, but like to crucify a business.
Who are you venting to on social media?
Like who are you to crucify business because you had a bad experience? Especially when you post something like that, you end up looking kind of stupid because other people will comment and defend and be like, I've never had a bad meal there. Like, I'm not going to stop going there. So, like, what you're just trying to get some clout on social media and feel like your opinion matters or what?
Dude, social media is a poison. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately.
I truly hate it.
We were just talking earlier. People have become emboldened. Like, where if you went into a restaurant back in the day and you didn't like something, you'd talk to the server like, hey, I didn't really, you know, this wasn't cooked appropriately. And then you give the restaurant an opportunity to make amends. Yep. Either, hey, we'll remake it for you, or next time you come in, you know, we'll give you a credit, or it gives you an opportunity to you know, make something happen there.
Yeah.
Now people won't say anything.
Nope.
They'll be pissed. They'll go on social media and put this
Jump on their
post up.
soapbox.
For what?
Yeah.
Like, well, who are you venting to? You're not venting to anyone. You're projecting. Just, I don't know. I hate it. Yep. I think it's dumb.
I think I lose a lot of personal respect for people, especially if it's someone I know. If I see them go and do that, especially a local business, I hate that shit. I see it happen a lot.
That's when you gotta check. Yeah, that's when you gotta check some people.
I know.
Like, listen, bro, I got local business here. Yep. What are you doing? But so what prompted the transition from, you know, retail owner, restaurant to real estate?
Yep, Berkshire Hathaway. You see it up here somewhere. So
Erie homegirl,
Amanda.
Erie homeboy.
Yep.
We're gonna coin.
I think we're gonna do it, Erie homeboy, especially as of lately with the.
Tell us about that. What you guys launched this post about?
Yeah. So
partnering.
First, I'll talk about how I got to where I am, and then we'll definitely speak on that. So I want to say for maybe the last 2 years of Iron Empire, when all the growth was happening and I was setting a lot of roadblocks, I started to lose the love for what I was doing. It almost felt like it was more of a job than my passion because it was coming with stresses. I was having trouble navigating. I was becoming more into business and working into business again, which no job's above me, but it almost got to be too much for me where it was like, damn, like there's nothing more than when I first started the business in the first couple of years, working 16-hour days, 7 days a week, that hustle, that grind, whatever. Like I would go back to that life any day if I had a reason to, or if I could. But again, I almost felt like I was like at the ceiling, like how else can I grow Iron Empire? And like, what am I really like, if I'm struggling to hit roadblocks now, how do I get it from where I'm at now to the next level? And I didn't have answers. I was battling, you know, pretty severe mental health issues and battling that. And I think I just lost love for what I was doing, and I kind of checked out. And I would, put in the work I had to continue making sure we stayed open, that, I got a paycheck. Again, you talk about people thinking you're rich. Like, I got a paycheck every 2 weeks. Even though I owned or co-owned a company, I got a paycheck every 2 weeks. It was the same amount every week. Whether I put in 10 hours or I put in 100 hours, it was salary. I got a paycheck, right? And then and I'm just going to be brutally honest, that was another thing. Like, damn, like, you know what? Like, what if I can step away a little bit and try and get myself together? Like, I don't have to go to the store and I'm still going to get a paycheck. Like, I can rely on my people. So then I, in a shitty way, started feeling selfish. Like, damn, like, I'm not going to work. And so then I started feeling bad about myself. Like, oh, like, I'm letting them down because I don't feel like I can be there, but I don't really have to be because I'm still making money and can pay my bills and do this and do that. And it was just a bad cycle for a good year and a half, 2 years. And towards the end of, what are we in now? 24. So the end of 22 going into 23 is when I said, you know what? It's costing me too much stress, headache, financially to do the custom screen printing. Like, we were just having too many issues. And that's, even though that's what grew the business, because out of the 1.2 million that we did, 900,000 of it was screen printing.
And you were printing your own stuff.
And we were doing our own stuff too.
That's huge.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to get rid of that part of it because I want to eliminate the stress out of my life and just go back to retail. And I'll outsource the screen printing. Like, I'll still take on screen printing orders. Like, hey, your sports team wants to use us, work with us. I'm not going to print it personally. I'm going to work with another local screen printer who loves what they do and is doing it. And I'll just middleman it. And we'll all make a little bit of money. So I end up letting go. I end up closing that main location down, letting go of probably 7 or 8 employees. Hardest day of my life, having that meeting with them. And continued going on, just working out of our retail store in the Mo Creek Mall. That was our only location. And then I just felt like every opportunity I had, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go all in. Something happened and like stopped me. I'm like, maybe it's just not meant to be. Maybe I'm forcing something that's not meant to happen anymore, right? And I don't know if that was me trying to convince myself because I was ready for what's next. Over those 2 years, I was putting a lot of time. I wanted to open my own gym. That's truly my passion project. You remember we talked about that a little bit. We talked about it. Still something I want to do. And I was like, maybe if I step away from Iron Empire, let this kind of be its own thing and stay down here and just succeed as in exist, pay its bills, pay some employees, I can go do what I love. And that didn't really work out for me. I kept hitting roadblocks. And finally I said, you know what? I feel like I'm a fraud. Right? I've built this brand and this business off of living life on your own terms, loving what you do, being proud of yourself, being happy, motivating others. And I'm putting on this facade, like, because I have to, because that's how people view me. And from the TV show, I'm inspirational and motivational. And I'm doing these podcasts and these interviews online and these Zoom calls and speaking at prisons and schools and all this stuff. But internally, I'm exhausted and I'm miserable. And it's because I lost who I was and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I finally said, and my girlfriend now at the time, probably one of the most supportive people I've ever had in my life, I said, I think I'm done. Like, I truly think I'm done. I think I want to close my store and figure out what's next. She's like, do it. Fucking just do it. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I need to. Like, I need to go back to what I did when I quit the city and jumped into Iron Empire, the unknown. I'm just going to say I'm closing my doors. And I don't know what it is, but I'm going to figure it out. Right? And I fucking did it. I literally decided at the beginning of July, like, my last days at the end of this month, I'm closing the store. And closed up and said, what can I do that'll still give me freedom to make me feel like an entrepreneur and utilize what I've learned and built over the years? And I said, real estate's kind of been interesting to me. I don't care about selling houses, but there could be good money. And it's all about who you know and your network. And I'm like,
people. It's all about people.
And I realized it clicked. I'm like, that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years, is building relationships with people. Like, I look the way I do. I'm known as Iron Empire. Now could I go from selling $20 t-shirts to $200,000 houses? Let's see if I can do it. So I put into work. I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't put it out there. Very few people knew. So I did all the education, the online schooling I had to do, the hours. It's like 75 hours of tracked,
I dabble in real estate.
Yeah, yep. So it's I don't want to say it's an easy. You just have to
Just something needs to be done. Yeah,
you just need to do it.
You just need to do it.
And I told him, I barely made it through high school. Am I going to actually take these tests and be able to know this knowledge that I need for these tests? And I was like, we'll find out. And I ended up passing. I'm like, this is meant to be. Like, there's no way that a normal RJ would have been able to do this. Like, something helped me do this. And that's not me like giving credit to God or whatever, but like, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. And it happened. And I ended up getting my license. And even my felonies, that was kind of an issue towards the end to get my license.
Yeah, you have to go
I had to go back and
hurdles.
forth with a lot of paperwork, a lot of convincing, proving, getting Berkshire Hathaway to basically sign paper and say, we know RJ's past, but we also know the man he is today, and we want him to work for us. Like, we backed this 100%, and they did. So I ended up closing my store at the end of July. And, dude, those months, I mean, even still now it's a transition. Like, financially, I'm like, damn, like, what side hustles can I do to kind of pay bills this month and this and that? My girlfriend's kind of, she has 2 kids, we're living together, raising our kids and, half the time. And it's been a struggle, but I'm literally restarting my entire life right now. It's crazy. Like, I went from having almost everything to literally having nothing when I gave up Iron Empire. I didn't have a secure job. I had no income coming in. Like, once Iron Empire closed, there goes my salary paycheck. And it's like, how long can I live off of any money that I had saved or whatever, or credit cards, put myself in debt.
Gotta love credit cards.
Yep, put myself in debt, still trying to climb out of it. And literally, and there's one of those moments, I had to have a moment with myself where I'm like, I truly don't think I can go any lower. I have the most amazing supportive girlfriend, her beautiful kids, and it's like, it's time for me to pull myself up out of this and figure out what the hell am I going to do. Right. And not, even get my real estate license. I just got it in November and I'm just under contract on my first listing now for a buyer. So it's not like it's like I'm making.
That's actually good. It's actually really good.
Yeah. And so I'm still kind of waiting for, it's like, now I've got, 7 things in the pipeline and can start getting consistent income. But until that happens, there's really not much, that I know. I don't have a ton of things going on. So I'm like literally like relearning who I am and what I want out of life. And it's a humbling experience to say the least.
You want to talk about things full circle? Mm-hmm. What movie were you in? Oh,
so 2, I think I know which one you're talking about because I said Rebirth, right?
Rebirth.
So I was in Warrior, which was a big like Lionsgate movie, but Rebirth was it was like a horror remake. It was Night of the Living Dead. And it was called Rebirth, and I had like a little
Warrior you were in the. It was because of your tattoos.
Yeah,
right?
Warrior.
That's so cool,
man. That was with Tom Hardy and Joel and all them. But Rebirth, yeah, and I was a zombie. I was a brother, and then I got bit by a zombie, and I come back in the end to try and kill my brother as a zombie. Rebirth or whatever. So yeah, I can see where you're going with that.
I was power. I was just wordplay here, but like the power of rebirth, right?
100%.
You talk about your past. I grew up in Erie. I had a checkered past. My brother in and out of prison. Felonies. I owe everything I am, who I am today, to him because he took a lot of the blunt of stupid mistakes that I did.
Yeah.
But that's easy, especially if you come from here. I don't know what it is about this city. It just swallows people.
Yeah.
If you don't actively try to break that stigma, you will be swallowed.
Yep.
And Erie's not Chicago. It's not LA. It's not these, but dude, I've lost more friends in Erie than most people I know have taken. And I'm like, what is it about this city? Yeah. So it swallows people. You were able to go through that. You were able to, start that clothing company. It's, it didn't work out in how you wanted it to. Boom, restaurant. That probably didn't go how you envisioned. Boom. Now this.
Yeah.
You're always reinventing and rebirth.
You have to, man. And it's never too late.
Oh, it's never too late. You're what?
35.
In the 35 and you just started a new career.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
People think I'm 30 and I love this. I'm 30, man. I'm not married at 30 or I don't have kids at 30. And it's like,
that's bullshit.
So what?
Yeah.
Start the process to get there. If that's what you want now.
If you want something, you can get it. You can do it. And I just spoke to 5 or 6 kids in a program, not yesterday, the day before, that are all troubled kids between ages of 11 and 15. And I said, dude, you guys are still babies. Like, just because you've gone through what you have now, or you already might have a record now, like, I'm 35 and I'm still figuring out who the fuck I am. And I broke every stereotype that's ever been made about me, whether I deserved it or not. You know, I used to live a lifestyle where I deserved the stereotype of being a crazy gang member looking dude and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I also learned how to take those barriers and build bridges with them to get to where I want to be and use that stuff to my advantage. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, I might have that past, but yeah, I might look the way I do, but, you know.
Today's strengths, today's pains is, today's struggles and today's pains is tomorrow's strength.
Yeah.
Like what we went through, you can use it to build these bridges and actually propel yourself forward. Because if you've never been through any tough experiences or challenged yourself or gone through things that have forced you to grow, you're going to be stagnant.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying intentionally go do stupid shit, but like we were young and dumb and we went through things and we could have been like, this is my life, or I don't want this to be my defining moment.
Right.
And you can use it to propel you forward.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who's reaching the end of one chapter and starting another one, or they're closing that book and pivoting to something else like you did? It's hard to start something new or to change directions because this is all you know. This is all you've been. This is where your comfort is. This is where your reliability is.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who has to pivot?
All of this is going to easier said than done. All of it. Way easier said than done.
This is just a podcast.
But yeah. Don't be scared to the point of fear holds you back. Be scared of the unknown, of being like, okay, like I don't know what's going to happen. But as much as you have fear and you're scared, also have not even confidence in yourself, but just confidence that it's going to work out. Even if let's say it's to leave your job now for possibly a not so good job, but could be better, right? Let's say you're at the ceiling of your job where you're at, right? But if you leave that and go start over here, if you're willing to put into work and grow, you can be up here by the end of it, right? And it's like you're jumping in like, damn, do I really want to leave this for the opportunity to get to that? And it's like, if you don't, you'll never know if you could have. But if you do take the chance, and even if you don't, you at least took the chance on yourself and learned something. And who knows, maybe it was meant to be. And then after a year of doing it, maybe it didn't work out, but then the job you're at, the business closed. So it's like, damn, like even if I wouldn't have anyways, this was meant to be. I would have lost my job and I wouldn't have had the choice to make a possible better decision for myself in my future. Right?
I think success is inevitable. So long as you continue, if you're persistent and relentless in your approach, you continue to do the work necessary, success is inevitable, no matter what direction you choose.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's easier said than done, but I think I have a bigger fear myself in me being 70 and going, man, I wish I would have, or I should have done that.
Dude, that's it.
Then diving into something new. This podcast was a scary thing for me.
Oh, I bet.
I hate being in front of a camera. I hate talking about myself, and everyone tries to turn the conversation back on me, and I'm like, no, we're here for you.
Yep.
Like all things I'm not comfortable with, but I'm like, I have to lean into this. Now I'm putting myself, I live a very, so what I'm looking for, private, I don't want to say private, but I keep things close to my chest. I don't like being out there. I don't like my personal life being out there.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
I live a very secure and private life. One, because of my past, I never wanted that to get out. Two, because of the line of work I do. And three, just because when people see you doing something good, they want to
want to ruin it.
Yeah,
they want to ruin it.
Why does he get to have that and not me?
Yep.
And that lead me. Well, now I have a podcast that's everywhere. I post it everywhere.
Yeah.
It's on. So now I have to like manage that. It's a very scary thing for me. I'm being honest. It's very scary. And you know, it's just something I was like, you know what? I don't want to be like 10 years down the road, like I should have started that.
Yeah.
I should have did it. It would have been cool to like really talk to people. And I just did it. It's like, well, fuck it, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was just having this talk with someone yesterday, about business that they want to venture off into. And I said, and I'm not good with this word,
procrastination.
Yep, over is, or no. How does it go? There's a saying where it's like, the more you procrastinate, the more like you're hurting yourself, right? Like you're actually, the more you like overthink and put things off, it ends up turning into that. Like you're actually trying to convince yourself out of it because like, whoa, but I don't know how to do this. And maybe this, so they say like, jump out of a plane and figure out how to build your parachute on the way down. Right. Cause you will like not obviously.
No, but speaking of that, I'll add this to the metaphor. I've been skydiving a few times and there's a person I went with who decided when you get up there, you decide you have to do, where you're with someone, attached to someone.
Yeah.
And they ask you, you're at the door. You sure you want to do this? If you say no, they don't convince you. They don't try to push you they back up and you don't jump.
Yeah.
And it's that moment of if all I gotta do is say yes, all I gotta do is take that step.
Yep.
And the rest is figured out for me.
Yeah.
Like all I gotta do is do whatever this dude's telling me.
Saying yes is the hardest part.
Saying yes is the hardest part. Or you can say no and sit down, land the plane and go,
damn, I wish I
should have said yes.
Absolutely.
You know, so it is the perfect metaphor of just say yes and the rest is gonna figure itself out.
Yep.
Like there's a small chance that you hit the earth at a high speed. Very small chance.
Yeah.
But that's with everything in life.
Absolutely.
There's always a chance for failure. But I guess in jumping out of an airplane, that would be the last failure. But in life, you can fail 100 times. We'll say fail in air quotes because it's only a failure if you don't use it to learn.
I'm going to be vulnerable by putting this out there. And I'll be honest, I've been, not that this is like an opportunity for me to share it with the entire world, but I've been like, damn, like, do I actually want to like let people know how bad it was? The day I got my license, the day I got an email saying, congratulations, here's your license number in real estate. This is in November. I went on my bank account that day and I screenshot. I have the picture, the proof, because I knew people would be like, oh, like The Rock story. Remember The Rock? Dwayne Johnson, he's like, yeah, you know, I had $3 in my bank account one time. I screenshot it. I think it was $2.16 in my fucking bank account the day that they awarded me my fucking real estate license.
216.
Yep.
Sounds like a good number.
Something like that.
Make it a damn t-shirt.
I don't know if it's the exact number, but it was like under $5. And like, of course, like, yes, I had like my credit cards that I'm still like trying to like rack up to try and keep paying my bills. But like, I didn't have like a consistent job. I'm not like working 9 to 5 anymore. I'm still just side hustling, you know, doing some plowing or this or that. But yeah, dude, that day I'm like, this should be one of the happiest days of my life. Like I just got, not happiest day, but a huge success for me. And I'm
but it is
$2 into my name right now. Like people don't see that. They see me posting, oh, got my real estate license. Look at me. Look at what I've, you know, accomplished. But by the way, I only have $2 in my bank account. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fucking buy groceries this weekend, right?
So the whole premise of the Relentless Project is you are the Relentless Project. I am the Relentless Project.
Yeah.
Everyone is the Relentless Project. You are your project. You're constantly building yourself.
Right.
Pushing forward, moving forward. And just because you have $2.16 in your bank account, does that make you unsuccessful? No. How many lives have you touched? How many people have you inspired? How many people have you in talking with or in doing your stores or who you've hired or just associated with, have they gone, I'm going to do something I never tried to do because he did it.
Right.
And that's a number you'll probably never know. You'll go to the grave without knowing how many people you truly impacted. But you cannot put dollars on that.
Right.
You can't pay to change someone's life. Sure, you give someone $1 million. You change their life. They may self-implode. They're not really changed. They just have more money.
Yep.
You know, it's what they do with that will do true change. So, and that's what's so funny when people are like, the definition of success is,
oh, I hate it.
This or this or this or having this. Is it? Okay, for you, that may be.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, for other people, it's not that. Like, I truly love talking to people. success is me sitting down with you, and I just learned a lot about your story I had no idea about.
Yeah.
You know, like, I guess a lot of people didn't know you had that much, but they see you on social media. They see you pushing forward. They see you smiling and not missing a beat. When someone's struggling, they can be like, you know what? This isn't my defining moment. This is just temporary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll get better. It's getting better for him. It's getting better for him. It's getting like that is the Relentless project. And that's why I ask people on here to come on here so I can hear that. And, you know, I get reached out to all the time. Someone's like, oh man, I'd love to be on your podcast, but I'm just this. And I go, what's your story? And they tell me their story. And I'm like, yeah, like you don't have to have 1,000 followers, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah.
Like your story is inspirational. You can like, I would love to talk to you.
Yep.
I would love to sit down with you.
And that's why what you're doing is great, because you're giving, let's say, people that have a voice that don't have a way of getting it out there, giving them a platform to share and have a voice to get out to people, right? And I don't want to say like, oh, there's no better feeling than be able to feel like you get to tell your story to the world or to these followers or whatever it is, but you're giving a platform and you've built something. Kind of going back to me, if I could build my business and use that as a platform to help people out, like you're doing that by not only helping the people that come on your podcast to share their stories and feel like, damn, you know what? My story is, even if it changes like one person, it's worth it for me to share my story and be vulnerable for an hour. Right. And so, I mean, it's just it's a snowball effect. It's a win-win for everyone. Right. You're learning you're growing from this. Like you said, you sat here and I almost stopped you. But I know, like you said, you don't want it to be about you, but you're like, oh, I'm not really an entrepreneur, but you are, because an entrepreneur is just about like, oh, I own a business at this address, at this location. Right. To me, that's not an entrepreneur. To me, an entrepreneur is, and again, everyone might have their own definition, but like someone that is willing to take a chance at doing something to give back or do good for the community, for yourself, to better your family, to better other people's families, whatever it is. And yeah, you might not have a staff or a payroll of people, but the people that are viewing this and watching this and continue listening in, like that's success. That's success right there.
I appreciate. I received that. I appreciate that. That's I had a guy on here who fucking called me out for not taking compliments.
Yeah,
and he's a lot bigger than me, and he's a black belt. And he's like, when I give you a compliment, I want you to say I received that. So I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah. I received that. I appreciate that, bro. Yeah. And same goes for you. Like we are all we all have our own story. We all have our own journey, and we're all navigating life. There's no template. And I love when people are doing it the unconventional way. Yeah. And if listen here, if you have a 9 to 5 and you're happy and you're doing,
there's nothing wrong with that. It's awesome. Amazing. I'm happy for you.
I can't fit in that mold.
Yep.
It's not for me. It's not for some people, but that's okay. Like I don't want people to hear this and go, I work for this corporate company and my life means nothing. No. Like there's every single person is a necessity. Yeah. You just got to find your purpose, your role in this life, and lean into it.
I used to say all the time, I don't care what if your goal and your dream is to work at McDonald's for the rest of your life, as long as you're the best goddamn hamburger flipper that McDonald's has ever seen, fucking good for you. Do that shit. Do it with pride. Don't go in there thinking that you're lower than anyone. Like it does. If that works for you and you can provide for yourself or your family off that, like that's success. That's success. It doesn't matter what surrounds it. It's what comes out of it and the feeling of it.
Yeah, it's not what you're doing. It's who you are when you're doing it.
Oh yeah.
Like I've said this before. If I go to a McDonald's and the windows open and they're like, "Ah, what's up, man? You got the nuggets." Everyone knows I love that. You got the nuggets? Yeah. Oh, dude, got you right here. It's like that infectious energy tells me
I love it.
Everything you do in life is with good purpose.
Yep.
Because you can be having a miserable day. People treat these workers like shit.
Yeah.
And you're still out here, boom, boom. Now think of you're in there and this person's having a miserable day because they have the fries today. And you're in there like, bro, come on. You got the fries. Like, it's all good. And now they're smiling and then they go home. And it's a snowball effect. It's not what you're doing.
It's contagious.
Yeah. It's how you're doing it. You know, if you're going to wash toilets, be the best damn toilet washer. Yeah. You know, how many realtors are there in this country?
Too many.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but you see this, they weed themselves out, because if you're in it for the right intention, and I've talked about this, and I'm still going to talk about it. It blows my mind how many realtors who do this for a living, it's their career, they're all in on it, half-ass everything, and come in with horrible intentions. I'm literally in one of my deals right now. This lady uploads the house, onto the MLS. I go in there. We want to make an offer. There's no seller's disclosure. There's no supplements on. I'm like, hey, can you upload these? Like, I understand this house is going to go fast. I want to submit an offer.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize I didn't upload it. I'm like, I do this part-time, and I dot my I's, cross my T's. This is everything you do for a living. How? Right. How can you? So then she uploads it after a couple days because it's not pressing or anything.
Right. Took her time.
Uploads the first page only. I'm like, hey.
Do you want to sell this house or not?
Yeah. I'm like, hey, I noticed you uploaded it, but it's only the first page. I didn't even realize that. I'm like, how? Like, what?
Yeah.
And then I look through the sales disclosure. It's not even filled out completely. I'm like, this is probably, and I told my client, I'm like, I know you want this house, but if just uploading this house, just listing this house, there's this many like red flags. I don't want to know what the process is going to be like. Yeah. So if you feel comfortable in doing this, I'm here for you.
Yep.
I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this one.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So you coming in doing, you're coming in with that infectious energy, with all your past history and experience. And I think Gary's going to have a problem because RJ is going to get taken out.
I truly went into this with the intent of, just meeting a network of people and good intentions. But my goal is to disrupt the shit out of the real estate. And even from November till now, like, I haven't put my all into it, to be honest. Like, I'm under contract right now, and I'm working on it with Amanda. She's helping me, with my first few, so I understand the process and the paperwork and stuff like that. But right now it's also just a weird market. I don't have a ton of people hitting me up like, hey, I'm ready to sell a house. I'm ready to buy a house.
Inventory's low.
Right. And I'm kind of waiting for that, just like that click to happen. And I don't want to wait too long, because then it seems like I'm just waiting and I'm not going to put into work. But I'm not ready, I don't think, to fully be like 100% everyday real estate this, real estate that, because people still don't 100% probably know I'm a real estate agent yet. Like, I put it out there, I've dabbled a little bit, but I really intend to, like, once the ball gets going, like, everything I've learned over the years of marketing and advertising and how to stand out is to flip it upside down and be like, everything you guys have been doing for so long, if you haven't been doing it yet, you're going to realize, like, you have no choice. You have to keep up with the rest of us who are doing the things different.
Going against the grain.
Going against the grain of how we do marketing. I follow a guy on Instagram, and I forget his real name, but I think it's like Call Tattoo or whatever. Crazy face tattooed guy, real estate agent, real successful. He's been in movies before, just like me. That's how he got started, right? Yeah, that's dope. And all of his content is a mockery of himself, and like what his agent or what his clients probably think of him as being a real estate agent, and being scary and this and that, and just making fun of people and this and that, and it works. People love it.
Dude, there's this dude, I don't know what his handle is. He's big time. He literally says the things we all want to say. Mm-hmm. Like, how, and he makes a mockery of, agents show up to the house and they're making this video. They're like, here, welcome to your next, here's that. Yeah. His videos, like, he shows up to the front, he goes, here's the fucking house you want to buy.
Yeah.
Let's go in. Goes in, he's like, here's a kitchen. It's too big. You're probably not going to use it. Bedrooms now. Like, he's just very like blunt in the front.
And it
like,
works.
He's showing the house.
And it works.
But he's like, because everyone harps, these families harp, I want a beautiful kitchen. You've never cooked a meal in your life. You're probably not going to use this. All right, next room.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like,
that's brilliant though. Because even if someone's not going to want to buy a house, or they're not going to want to work with you, they're going to watch the whole video. For sure.
House. Yeah.
And they're going to end up seeing the house. And that's what branding and marketing is being in front of people's eyes. I opened up my store in the mall. I knew I wasn't going to fucking get rich off that or make thousands of dollars every day or whatever. But every single person that walked by my store, they saw my logo. They could hate me. They could love me. They can know what it is, not know what it is. But every time they walk in the mall, they're going to see my logo.
And every time they see your shirt, they're going to think of you. That's my favorite part.
So it's like those videos. Yeah, that's like, and you might get some people that hate that. And I'd never work with that guy, but they're probably going to laugh, or they're not going to forget it. They're not going to forget about that.
That's so true. His content is hilarious. I'm like, yeah, that's the shit I would say that we feel we can't say because we don't want to offend or hurt
We're not
anyone.
professional.
We're not. Yeah, he goes in. He's like, here's a backyard. The grass is green. Boom. Next. It's just, you're
That's
just
funny.
like, okay.
I'll have to look him up. You'll have to send it to
When
me
I find a
later.
video, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
So, what's in the future for you? Do you plan on, diving into real estate only, or is this something that's going to help you build onto the next?
That's the way I look. I look at this as a transition and a way to kind of catapult, hopefully financially. I don't think anyone in Erie, and no offense, I know people who are very successful real estate agents in Erie, but I hope to use this as a catapult to get into things that I want to do. My passion project, like if I had X amount of money and I'm not throwing this out there hoping someone sees this, like, you know what, I'm going to give you the money to do this. Cause like I just told you I had like $2 on my bank account back in November. But a gym, whether that's my passion project, that would be my goal 9 to 5 job where if I can pay my bills and live comfortably and do real estate on the side, to people I know, friends I know, and make a little bit of money. And then obviously I think you might be, flipping or, getting into doing flipping or rentals and stuff like that. Like, that's why I really want to get into real estate. It's not because I want to be known as a real estate agent. And I had a meeting with someone maybe a month ago, and we were talking about next steps for me. And he said, RJ, like, you're not a real estate agent. I'm like, I know. And he's like, so what's next? I'm like, I don't really know. And he's like, you got to figure that shit out. He's like, you can use real estate. Like, yeah, you'll probably make a little bit of money off it. But like, if your passion's not there, then what are you like, why are you doing it? And I'm like, honestly, literally, because it is a catapult. Like, I'm hoping to use my network. Not saying that I hate real estate and I don't want to do it, not to like try and like,
it's just a season. It's a season for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, people get so hung up on this didn't work out. It's like, it did. It served its purpose in your life for that moment.
Yeah.
And the sooner we can recognize that, the sooner you can heal and go on to the next thing.
Yep.
Especially with people in relationships. Like, I invested 3 years into this person, and did you grow in those 3 years? Did you learn about yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
really, what happened? Like, were you in love with the idea of what could be, or was the relationship actually?
Yeah. And is it so bad if after this person you meet the love of your life, you grow old and die, they get happy together?
Yeah.
That was necessary then.
Yep.
Obviously, it's hard to see that when it's happening, but with businesses, if you in 10 years you look back, you have your gym, and are you going to be like, I should have stuck with Iron Empire? You're like, those were necessary seasons that have put me to where I am today.
That's it.
And I think that's a important thing to think of. So to wrap it all up, what's one message you'd like people to get from your story? One thing that they could pull and use to kind of fuel what's going on with them and to put them into the next step.
Obviously, more than anything is don't ever let your past, your history, things that work against you define who you are. Don't ever let those things stop you from becoming who you want to be, whether it's a criminal record, face tattoos, your career, your job, your spouse, whatever it is. Don't let those things keep you from being like, damn, I can't do this because of this. It's a cop out. Like, you're telling yourself that story, right?
You're giving
because
yourself the excuse.
Go listen to these podcasts or go watch these videos online, or the Gary V's or the Grant Cardones or whoever. You're going to see that it's just a story in your head of why you can't do it. Other people have done it. It's just they were willing to put in the work to get to that point. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about leaving a job for a better job, leaving an unhappy relationship for hopefully a better one, whatever it is, there's literally no reason why you can't achieve whatever that goal or that want and need that you have is. With that, it's never too late. And for me, I just proved that to myself and hopefully other people that, like, I thought if you would have asked me 3 years ago, I'd be doing Iron Empire till I was 80 years old and die, whatever. But here I'm at 35, and I literally made the most difficult decision of my life and put myself through the ringer for the last few months to literally get my chance to regrow and rebirth into whatever it's going to be. I still don't know what it is. I'm still kind of figuring it out. You know, I got a few things in the pipeline that I'm hoping pan out for me, but there's no definitive roadmap of what it is and how I'm going to get there yet. I'm just kind of figuring out as I go. And that's the scary part too is, you know, I'm 35 and it's like, I still don't want to give in to I'm just going to go get a job, 9 to 5, work Monday through Friday. Like, no, like I know there's more for me than that. I just don't know what it is and how I'm going to get there yet, but I'm going to figure it out. And even at 35, it's possible. So it doesn't matter whether you're 25, 35, 50. I've seen people, you know, recreate themselves in their 40s and 50s before.
30s is the new 20s. You know, 40 is the new 30. So it's never too late. It's funny, we're talking about clothes and stuff. I actually just launched my hoodie and hat today. So
the one you have on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know, the Relentless Project merch is gonna be out.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna get some advice from the clothing guy.
I got some for you.
But I appreciate you for jumping on to the Relentless Project and sharing your story and getting vulnerable. I bet it's a side a lot of people who know you weren't privileged to hear. So I'm glad you decided to share that here with me and with everyone listening. This is the one with RJ Messenger, and we're out.
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Later.
Yep.